Howdy, howdy, howdy. That Oprah Winfrey, a little girl from Mississippi, whatever she does, she turns into gold. Over 11 million people in the U.S. watched that interview on Sunday, and millions more across the world will see her interview about the royals. I didn't see the entire interview. I just seen bits and pieces. And of course, most is salacious and the most, it's about race. And I want to talk about interracial relationships and families. In this case, interracial relationship and the crown. How many people of color are in the royals? Now, despite their international travels and shaking of hands and kisses and learning how to dance like the people in Mabumba or whatever country they travel to, it's different when it's in your family. No matter how many black friends you have, white friends you have, Latino friends you have, Asian friends you have, it's different when it's in your family. Always different. And I say that not only to interracial relationships, I'm saying that to gay people coming out or gay people getting married. You know, I don't think, in my humble opinion, that it is fair to expect a family who has believed a certain way for many years before you were born, and their family believed a certain way for many years, for you to suddenly come out or marry someone of a different race and have them go, "We're so happy to see you." I know liberal families, I know conservative families who have friends out of their race. And let's go take a minute. So I have issues with both Meghan and Harry for different reasons. But I don't think it's fair, and you may not agree with me, but just because you're in love and they make you feel a certain kind of way and your heart pounds, means the rest of the family is going to feel as you do. Over 40 years ago, I fell in love with a white lady, a white girl. We met at a convention. I lived in the Bay Area, and my life from the time that I was a young teen forward, my friends and people I hung out with were of every color, every hue, and different backgrounds, which confounding to members of my family. They just never knew about me. But I fell in love with a white girl who lived in a community where there were no black people. In fact, I like to say if there were black people in a community, that means they were terribly lost. You know, there just weren't black people in the neighborhood. So to my parents who had been exposed to different races, I thought with my mom it would be great. I mean, I dated Filipinos, I dated Latinos, like you name it. And her families, particularly her mother, just went into shock because one, she's probably never spoken to a black person. Maybe excuse me, or the notions count as to the left. But that's her exposure to black people. And her only daughter is marrying a black man. Crazy, talkative man. My favorite story of our meeting is, because I'm very animated at times, that she looked at my fiance and she goes, "Does it have an off switch?" For many years, my father-in-law, for whatever reason, he sort of adopted me. I mean, he took me to meet his friends at his local bar. This is going to be my son-in-law. I was shocked. But my mother-in-law wasn't feeling it. In fact, I was late to the wedding. And I truly believe this in my heart and my entire soul, that she would prefer that her daughter marry a crack addict who had who sniffed glue, who was once a child molester and an alcoholic, over marrying this black man with a job and an education. And we would visit her at our home, and I could always see her looking at me out of the eye. But I also discovered in my own family, despite my mother being exposed to different people of color through me, that she struggled. And one area they could agree was that they didn't believe that we should have children. Not because they thought it was wrong, because people often come from a good place. Now, 40 years ago, I didn't feel that way. Today, I feel that way as a parent. They thought the children would struggle based on the little they knew. Not that they felt that we didn't deserve to have kids. They just felt the kids would struggle. But it took years for my mother-in-law. I think my first son was born and she was there, and we bonded over all the horrific things that happened. And our marriage didn't last. We hung in there for over 25 years. But she got to know me as a person. I would insult her. I would make fun of her. But she grew to love me and defend me and defend Black people. And even after the divorce, my mother-in-law loved me. But it took a minute. So again, just because you're in love, because you're happy, just because you've come out, just because you are in love with Maggie or Skylar or, two men, it's going to take the families a minute. And this is the struggle I have with the royals. Meghan was born in the United States to a Black mother and a white father. She knows. I don't know what her expectations were, but she knows. I'm sure she had problems being a mixed race girl because she's very fair-skinned. And you have people who don't know any better who says, well, you need to pick a side. If you don't pick a side, we'll pick for you. That's reality. That's reality, particularly if you're the only one. I grew up in schools where some biracial kids were beat up, particularly girls, not so much guys, but particularly girls. So, she's hurt, and I'm going, you're not a child. I have some issues with that. You've been through this. I mean, your parents were estranged. Your father didn't come to the wedding. So, sweetie, you can't be this is not all new to you. You're not 19, you're not 18, just leaving home. So I have a problem with this. I struggle with Harry. The system, the firm, the system. Well, Harry, the system damaged your mother. You're not foreign to this. You've talked about this. You and your brother have talked about this. What they expected from a royal. You had an aunt, Fergie, the Duchess of York. The institution, the firm didn't protect her. In fact, they went against her. And she's not black. I mean, this goes on and on and on in the royal family. There's a history around it. I watched The Crown, which is a magnificent show, by the way, where your great aunt, Princess Anne, they didn't protect her. So suddenly now it's your turn and now you're struggling with this. And this is all new in a system that you grew up with, the only system you know. A system that many believe destroyed your mother. I got some problems. And I'm sure I'm in the minority. I am sure I'm in the minority. A lot of people going, that's horrible, the racism. But this happens every day. This is happening right now as an Indian couple who's married, an Indian woman who's getting married to a Hispanic or a black man. Or a black man marrying an Asian woman. It takes a minute. And if you lived in the world and you know your family, there's certain expectations you shouldn't have. You shouldn't expect, I'm in love, and they're coming around and throwing sparkles at you. That's not the real world. So I struggle. We don't know what took place when he called Prince Charles his father. Was he, yeah, you must expect her. And the issue of the color of the baby, black people do that. I know Hispanic families do that. So I struggle with their innocence. I struggle with this. And again, I go back to, if you are in love with a person who doesn't look like you, doesn't share your skin color, your pigmentation, it's going to take your family a minute. If you're a gay man and gay woman who just came out, it's going to take your family a minute. If you're a gay man or a gay woman who wants to get married, it's going to take your family a minute. And the reality is, some may not ever come around. And that has to be okay. That has to be okay. Now, if they're being horrific to you, that's one thing. But there's certain things you're going to have to suck up if this is what you've chosen. And you can't say you entered it with your eyes closed. This is not new to the royals. It's not new to Meghan. It's not new to Harry. The British with people of color have been strained for many years. Britain has to deal with the issues now in many segments, as will happen in the United States really soon. There's going to be more people of color. It's going to take a minute. If you haven't subscribed to me, Rodfather 916, do it now. Do it now. If you disagree with me, let me know. I want to hear from you. If you like what you hear and you want to give me a high five or buy me a Tesla or my key, I'm really okay with that. But this is one of my longer videos, but I appreciate you being here. Please take care of yourself. Please be well. If you live in Texas, in Mississippi, where they said don't wear a mask, don't be stupid. Governor Abbott wants you to look at something else and not the mess that the electrical system is in Texas. Get it real. Let's keep it real, y'all. All right? Wear your mask. We got a long way to go despite the vaccine. I hope everybody who's here lives through it. Meanwhile, subscribe. Give me a comment. Rodfather 916, sending you love, joy, and happiness from Sacramento, California. I'm out. Bye, y'all.